What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Heel Deal Podcast. You're back with your hosts, Ben and Zach, and we are rounding to the end of this football season. How was your weekend, Zach?
Pretty good, man. How's it going, Tar Heels?
Gosh, it's going pretty cold and wet if you were at that Mercer game, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. We were in our ponchos for sure for that one.
We were in like bright red ponchos in the student section.
You might have seen us. Who knows?
If you were one of the few people there.
Yeah.
But that was a good game. The seniors went out on a good note, I thought. Altogether, a fun time. NC State had to go and screw up and lose to Georgia Tech, so now it's not like whoever loses misses a bowl game.
Yeah,
they can't even do that right.
No, they can't
even lose right.
I'm okay with that, though, and we'll talk about that later. But, yeah, that was a shocker, to say the least. I thought they would get that win. But, congrats to Georgia Tech, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a pretty packed episode for you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to do the rundown, of course, because our women's teams are just absolutely kicking everyone's butt as per usual. Then we're going to go into basketball, talk about the Elon game, which was last Wednesday. Then talk about basketball in general, because I think there's a lot of things to talk about with it. The kind of trajectory of our season so far. Then we're going to transition into football and talk about Mercer a little bit. Not too much to talk about since, starters were out there for half the game. And then the big one is this game against NC State.
Yeah.
One we got to win. That NC State's going to love to try and spoil for us if we want to make a bowl game.
That's right. Yep, the all-important sixth win is what we need, and we have to go to Raleigh to get it. So, yeah.
Gosh, this team really feels like it has 6 wins already. It's been such a ridiculous season.
Yeah, it has. It's been up and down, to say the least. We've been fun to watch, but it's been stressful as well.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't we dive right into the rundown? There's really nothing going on with men's sports. I don't think the soccer team made the NCAA tournament after they lost to, I think, Syracuse in the ACC tournament. So that's a bummer. But women's field hockey, they ran the table. They just won the national championship. That was today. They beat
today.
Princeton.
Yeah.
Princeton 6-1. So. Yeah, they beat Stanford, Iowa, Boston College, and then Princeton. They kind of killed everyone in there. It wasn't too hard for them.
Congrats to that team, back-to-back national champions.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they haven't lost a game in it. I think they have the longest winning streak of any team in the NCAA, men or women's, right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And then we have women's soccer. They just it was actually, we were walking back from Franklin Street on Friday, and we stopped into the end of the game against Colorado, watched the women win 1-0 there, so they managed to sneak out, and then they kind of laid it on Michigan today of 4-0. So now they're going to go to the Sweet 16 to play USC.
Yep,
so University of Southern California, not South Carolina. Southern California. That's either going to be on Friday or Saturday. I think it's to be determined at this moment. Beat them, go to the I messed up. This is the Elite Eight, okay? So they got to beat them. Yeah. They beat USC, they're going to go to the semifinals, and then if they beat whoever they play there, they'll go to the finals. That's going to be December 8th, which is a Sunday in San Jose, California. I think they're going to be playing at the San Jose Earthquake Stadium, which is a really nice venue over there.
This upcoming weekend, I know it's Thanksgiving coming up, everybody, but if you're in town in Chapel Hill, this game against USC will be in Chapel Hill. And
it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, keep a lookout for that.
Awesome. So why don't we move straight into it, talk a little bit about basketball. So right now these Tar Heels are 4-0 on the season. They beat Elon 75-61. So it's kind of funny, our point totals. We've scored 76, 78, 77, 75.
Yep.
We've given up 65, 62, 61, 61. We're definitely the most consistent team. We have the smallest standard deviation of our wins right now in the country.
You might actually be able to prove that if you really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, that actually never really paid attention to that, Ben, until you just said that. But yeah, we've been beating everybody by about 13 to 15 points.
Mm-hmm. But we haven't been able to score above 80.
No, we haven't. And that's really, I think, the struggle of the team, as we'll talk about, I'm sure, today in this episode. But yeah, defense has played well, though, keeping everybody under 70, basically. Yeah. That's really good. You can't ask for much more early in the year. Defense usually takes longer to get going than offense does, because just communication and whatnot, and usually teams can score just individual basketball. But yeah, so good start for the defense in particular, but the team, it's always good to be 4-0.
Yeah, exactly, and especially at this Elon game, it was really a lot of what we've seen with this past season, but again, last episode we were questioning, what's this team going to do when Cole Anthony isn't, feeling himself in his shot. Well, he went 4 for 14 from the field, including 0 for 5 from 3. So he did not shoot well. He had, nine rebounds, 8 assists, so a good all-around game. He almost had a triple-double.
Yeah.
But it was good because our front court stepped up big time. Garrison, he had 14 points. Armando had his big breakout game. He had 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists. So really strong double-double. I liked what I saw from him.
Yeah, in the second half in particular, the front court really did a good job, I thought. First half, we struggled in just about every way possible. We went in down by 1, which was, just not good. But, we came out in the second half. Wasn't a great half by any means. Wasn't a great game by any means. But, Elon didn't have a whole lot of size, and we knew that coming in. Most of these teams don't have the size to match up with the big time D1 teams like us. So yeah, we just exploited that, and that's to be expected.
I mean, you normally just outlast them in the second half, but still, if this weren't Elon, if this was any Power 5 school, including a lot of the ones we're about to play, we're toast. We went 3 for 19 from 3. No one on our bench. We're kind of shallow as far as our depth goes, especially with Brandon Robinson out, because we only have 2 people on our bench play significant minutes. It's going to be Pierce and Playtech.
Yep.
No one on our bench scored a 3. It's tough going, and it's not just one game. It's been all 4 games. We have not shot very well. Yeah,
and I mean, and outside of the Notre Dame game, which is a good game to say, okay, we are or are not playing well because that's an ACC opponent. Outside of Cole's 34-point outing and just breakout game, we could have. I mean, I don't know. I hate to say this because you never know what's going on, but we could easily be 0-4.
Sounds like fun ball.
And we could be 0-4 against 3 teams and 1 team that 3 teams that aren't very good, quite frankly, and 1 that is an ACC opponent. So, take that for what it's worth. I don't personally like to look into these early season games too much, Ben. I know you probably think I am a little bit because I've been pretty critical of us, and that's fine. And that's just the nature of how I am sometimes. I like to look at every side of thing and try to be as realistic as possible. And to be honest, guys, being realistic, when I look at these first 4 games, we have a lot of work to do. And I think there's a natural perception out there about Tar Heel basketball in particular that because we have Roy Williams as a coach and because of the history of our program and because of just how good we've been for so long that this is just going to get better, that it's just naturally going to be okay. And I hope it does. And I think this team will develop, and I want to preface what I'm also going to say in a second by saying I think this team will be a good team by the end of the year. But to be honest, I think it's going to take time, and I think we are going to really struggle in this December stretch that we've talked about.
Well, let's throw back to last year. I mean, we struggled down the stretch, and especially in some of the tournament games. Think about when we got killed by Texas, who ended up not being a very good team, and then when we absolutely could not compete with Michigan. How do we stack up right now? And this is without us having played a real important opponent.
Well, you mentioned last year, and I went back and I looked, and because I've seen a lot of talk on social media and things about people saying, Tar Heel fans and stuff saying that this happens every year. We look like this early in the year every year, and there's a little bit of truth to that. Last year it was more about not being able to get stops as opposed to not being able to score. But yeah, I mean there's some truth to that, but also the facts speak for themselves, and the reality is that in the exhibition game this year for us, we only won by I think about 15 or 16 points, and last year we won 107-64. Last year when we played Elon, who we just beat by 14 at home in Chapel Hill, last year we went to Elon and won 116-67. Those are just a couple games, guys. I'm not trying to say that I think anyone who thinks that this happens every year is just not paying attention, but this is a little bit concerning because in years past, specifically last year, and then you date back all the way to 2016, 2015, when we had Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson and those teams, we haven't struggled to score as much as we have this year with those other counter examples to look at. We've had struggles, but they haven't quite frankly been this bad, at least when it comes to trying to score points.
Yeah.
And I don't want to look too much into it, but I do want to say that I think that if we don't start finding another option besides Cole really quickly, Ohio State will probably pork us. We'll probably get beat really badly at Virginia. We maybe won't score more than 30 to 40 points. And then Gonzaga, I don't know enough about them to really predict that yet. But my point is that we're going to get beat bad if we don't get going here soon.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Do you think having Brandon Robinson back is going to fix everything, or?
I mean, I haven't seen anything out of Brandon Robinson in his career here that makes me think that him coming back can do that. You know,
but at least he's probably our best 3-point shooter.
I agree. Yeah,
but that's not saying too much at this point. You know, besides Cole Anthony, who do we really have? Leaky hit 2 this past game, which was good, but he's just been inconsistent.
Yeah, and we don't really have enough evidence of how Brandon fits into this team to really be able to say how he's going to be able to contribute. I mean, we saw him for, the first half of the exhibition, and you can't look into that. You can look into that even less than you can these first games against Elon and Wilmington and stuff like that. I mean, it's just hard to say.
I just have a hard time seeing him as being less effective than like Leaky or Christian Keeling have been. Especially Christian Keeling's really not done much, and he's drawn the ire of Roy. Like you've seen Roy get really, really pissed off at him. I think Brandon Robinson's gonna be like, as far as an offensive efficiency standpoint, is gonna be an upgrade over either of those two guys in the starting lineup. But I don't think it's gonna be enough to get us where we need to be.
Yeah, I mean, Leaky hasn't given us much of anything, guys, and especially given the amount of minutes he's had to play. Armando had a good game against Elon, but he still looks a little bit like he's learning the offense, as is to be expected. Yeah. I don't expect him to be perfect right now. That's not what I'm saying. But Garrison has been okay. I don't want to say he's been bad. He's been okay. He's been above average at times, but he's also been just okay at times. And we need him to be more than just okay. We need him to be somebody that teams are having to sort of game plan for a little bit. We need him to be more of a presence inside than what he's been in these games against teams that really have no size. That's the thing that we need to remember about Elon and Wilmington, is these teams do not have size to match up with us. Sometimes these teams don't have someone bigger than 6'8". And when we get into the big games, that's just not the case. We have to be able to dominate the glass the entire game against these teams to really feel good about our chances in the paint and with rebounding when we're matched up with teams that are also ranked in the top 25 and specifically the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's our bread and butter, but luckily I think we lead the league.
We do.
Lead the NCAA in rebounds, so at least we have that going for us. But, I mean, I think best case scenario is this team, as the season progresses, Armando and Garrison become like a really, really good front court tandem. And then we have Cole Anthony, who's a really good distributor and who can hit from the outside. And then all we really need is some complementary guys on the wings who can shoot and score from three. It's kind of like, I like to think of like how the Houston Rockets are made up, where it really is just James Harden at the point kind of orchestrating it. You have a good big man in the center, and all the other guys are simply role players who serve really to have the ball dished out to them and hit their threes. Right. But that's not happening with Leaky and Christian, because they get the ball dished out to them, they dribble a little bit, they fake one pass and pass it back to Cole. It's inefficiency, and they just need to find their game and how their game is going to fit into this team. Yeah,
I agree, and in doing that, we just have to get the pressure off of Cole. We've got to give opposing defenses someone else to look at in key situations, and we've talked about that a little bit in the past podcast.
Cole just played 36 minutes. Yeah, and if he's going to be averaging like 35 to 40 minutes, he's going to burn out by March.
And we can't have our best player having to do that against Elon and Chapel Hill.
Exactly.
I mean, it just can't happen.
As good as Kobe was last year, he still never had to manage like as big a load as Cole is.
No.
But I think Roy knows that if we're going to win, he's going to have to lean on Cole. He keeps saying like after every game, Cole has a chance to be the best guard that he's ever coached, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I know, Elon came into this game not being able to hit any threes in their games before they played us, and then they came out in the first half and hit a bunch. So, I mean, that was probably something a little bit unexpected. But, yeah, I mean, again, guys, Ben and I don't want to look too much into this and say that we're doomed and stuff going into this stretch. But I gotta say that I'm not impressed by what I've seen so far, outside of Cole's individual ability and maybe a little bit of what I saw from the bigs in a couple of the second half so far this year.
Yeah, but I mean the bottom line is I totally agree with you that we're not trying to be the harbingers of the end of the world for this team.
Yeah.
But listen to this schedule. Like, after we play Alabama, we have Ohio State. Then we potentially have, UCLA or something. No, we have
Well, that
UCLA.
would be before Ohio State. It would be between
No. If we beat Alabama, we play
somebody
else. I
else.
can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Then we play number 10 Ohio State. Then we play number 7 UVA. Then we play Wofford, who made the tournament last year. Then we play number 8 Gonzaga. Then we play UCLA, which is a great program. And then Yale. That's our non-conference games.
And then right after that is we jump into ACC play.
So that's 3 ranked teams, 3 top 10 teams.
2 on the road.
And I want to throw in like Wofford there because I think they're a really good mid-major.
Yep.
We're lucky if we're going to win 2 of those.
Yep, the best defensive basketball team in the country for the past 5 years on the road, coming up in Virginia.
It is going to be tough. I don't even know what they're really doing in practice right now, but like if we were playing Gonzaga or we were playing UVA tomorrow, I really don't think we'd score 40 points.
I don't either. I really don't either.
It would take a Cole Anthony going crazy.
Yeah, shooting NBA threes because that's about all they would give him. Because teams are going to start trapping him, guys, as soon as he gets the ball past half court. Mm-hmm. And we've got to have the ability to get it out of his hands and take advantage of that. And right now, I don't think we have that ability. We've just got to keep working at it, and it's going to be a little bit of trial by error here. I mean, we're going to have some tough times on the court that are going to have to shape this team's
So
ability.
Think back to the Texas game. Think back to the Michigan game. There are going to be some growing pains coming up soon.
And they're coming quickly.
So don't be surprised when that's here. But I think once this team finds its niche, finds its best style of play, it can be a really good team because we have some of the best individual talent in the country.
Yep, and that's when that coaching that we talk about wanting everything to be okay, that's when that comes in, is when we have time to let that coaching and stuff materialize, and then we can move on and get better as the season goes forward.
Exactly. I mean, one way or the other, I'm excited because I love basketball, and I'm glad we're playing a really hard pre-ACC schedule, unlike our friends down the road. But why don't we get into some football? Now we got one more game in this season, and if we win it, we get another one. So Sam Howell, he's playing out of his mind. I don't know if you guys watched that game against Mercer, if you braved the cold, but Sam, I think he managed to surpass the most touchdown passes by a true freshman in NCAA history.
Yeah, and then specifically for us, he broke the single season touchdown record for a quarterback at North Carolina.
Yeah, he broke Mitch's record to 30. So right now he's sitting at 32. The NCAA record for freshman redshirt or true is 40 by Jameis Winston, I think.
Yep.
So if he goes for 4 against State, we win, and he goes for 4 against whoever we play in the bowl.
Yeah.
There it is, and that's totally within the realm of possibility. I really like the offense that this coaching staff has brought in, especially now that we're at the end of the season, and it is so much more. I don't want to say risk-taking, but so much more aggressive than last year.
Yeah.
And it is a genuinely fun style of play. Even though, we've been frustratingly inconsistent, no one said our offense has been boring at all. Yeah,
we've got a room of receivers, guys, that is with the potential, the idea of everybody coming back next year, which is looking very, very likely. I mean,
amazing.
Daz could potentially get drafted. I don't know, but if he doesn't, for example, then we get everyone back. Everybody, all the receivers, and getting Sam back, and then also potentially even getting Michael Carter back, and then Javonte Williams is definitely going to be back, and then the other running backs that we have that are freshmen this year, and then some of the guys coming in. I mean, the offense, basically all the big weapons are back. So looking forward, I agree with you. This is going to be an offense that is tough to stop for anyone, not just ACC teams.
Exactly. And, I mean, I'm glad we're bringing in guys on the defensive line, too.
Right.
I'm just really excited for next season. It's going to be great. And there's still so much to focus on this season. So why don't we, before we get too ahead of ourselves, talk a little bit about the Mercer game. Mercer FCS team, they were who we thought they were. Mm-hmm. I think they were just happy to be here. Except it was cold and rainy. I wouldn't have wanted to be playing. But first offensive play, they fumbled it. it was what it was.
They were at least happy to be here before the game kicked off.
Yeah, exactly.
Once it started, I don't think they really wanted to be here anymore.
Our guys just looked bigger than they did.
I turned and looked at you before it even kicked off. I said these guys look like a really good high school team. And I no disrespect to Mercer by saying that they were just outmatched today, and that's just where you see the difference between FBS and FCS come into play.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like a bye game, like a BUY game.
Yeah,
all teams play that.
It's a workout the kinks type thing. Mercer gets a lot of money for coming here to play us and stuff. It's just sort of almost like a little bit of an endowment game. So, but yeah, I mean the offense looked great. We scored on a bunch of big plays. Sam only completed I think like 10 passes yesterday and had 3 touchdowns. So 3 of his 10 passes were for 6, and a couple of them were really deep.
At one point he was 5 for 5 for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was just crazy.
Yeah, teams like this just can't get any pressure, and they can't cover us one-on-one.
He had that one touchdown where he rolled left out of the pocket and threw with his right hand, and I think it was Diami, led Diami so perfectly for like a 70-yard touchdown and got called back for a holding.
That was the one to Groves.
Oh, that was to Groves. That was his best throw of the day. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So you just kind of gotta shake your head and chuckle when that gets called back.
Yeah, and the defense played well too. The weather helped a little bit with that. The conditions were certainly, I guess, in the favor of whoever was able to cope with them better. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, our running backs held on to the ball. Our receivers held on to the ball. I can't catch a wet football to save my life. So they were making some good throws and catches.
Yeah, defense played good. Offense played good. We don't want to spend too much time on this, but yeah, it was like you said, Ben. Mercer was who we thought they would be. And we came in, worked out kinks, let the seniors play, sent them out in Keenan the right way, and let some young guys get some playing time, boost their morale going into next year. And it was overall a good day. I just wish it wasn't so nasty out, so maybe more people would have shown up. But
congrats to all the people who did show up. I only managed to stay till halftime, but that is beside the point. Why don't we get into the big game? This is all the cards on the table right here. This is it for us if we don't win this game.
That's right.
We're playing NC State Wolfpack, do or die. We are sitting at 5-6, so one more win and we're 6-6. We are bowl eligible, so it's kind of win or go home, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, quite literally. NC State, because they lost to Georgia Tech, they now have no way to get a bowl. So their sole motivation for this game is knowing that we have to have it to get a bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they probably remember that fight at the end of last game, or the last time we played them last year.
They do, and they were a lot better than we were last year. Partly because they had Ryan Finley and they had a huge running back. I can't remember what his name was, and they also had a pretty good defense last year too. But they lost a lot of those guys. And the story for NC State this year has not only been that they're young on both sides of the ball, particularly in the offensive backfield and the defensive backfield, really. But also they've been very banged up. That they've been another team that has had a bunch of defensive backs go out with injuries. I don't know what the status is for each of those guys this upcoming week, but I assume that if they're the least bit healthy, they will play.
I mean, it's been a tough season if you're an NC State fan. Let's see, they were 4-2 at one point, and they've lost their last 5 games. They've lost 6 of the last 7, something like that. It's just a slumping team right now. But again, you can kind of throw the record out the window when it comes to just this one game. They're trying to beat us. Yeah,
that's what they want. They wouldn't want nothing more than to ruin our opportunity to get a bowl in Mac's first year back as a head coach here. After we've had such a good season, considering where we were a couple years ago and where we are now, where it looks in the future, they would want nothing more. And it'll be tough. And this one will go down to the wire, as most of all of our games have, minus Georgia Tech and Mercer. I have no doubt about it. It'll be a night game at NC State. They will pack the house for probably the only other time they would have done that all year, maybe for the first half of Clemson before they got absolutely ran out of the stadium by Clemson. But yeah, I mean, I anticipate a dogfight, no pun intended, and we're just going to have to hope we want it more.
Yeah. So just quickly, what are some of their weapons, or what do they do that we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to?
Well, offensively, like I mentioned, they're very young. The quarterback, they really haven't had a specific quarterback this year. They've I think played 3, maybe even 4 at times. I don't even know who the primary guy is. I don't know who we're going to see. It'll most likely be Leary. He is, I think, got the most yards and touchdowns amongst their quarterbacks, but it could be somebody else depending on what their plan is. They also have 3, I think they're all freshmen, running backs that all kind of work in and out. So they have a bunch of different guys that can play and play pretty well, but they also are kind of experimenting. Let's not act like they've got 3 great backs that are all just in there for different purposes. A lot of that is experimentation. They're trying to figure out who they want to work with moving forward. It's been kind of a rebuild year for them on offense. And then when you look at the defense, like I said, they've been hurt, but I think there's definitely some aspects of rebuilding there. It was 2 years ago they had that dominant defensive line that featured Bradley Chubb. Ever since then, they've been kind of rebuilding the defensive line and also the secondary and linebackers. So it's just been a rebuild year for State. That's the best way to put it. I love the fact that they've had a tough time this year. They're always probably the most jealous team when it comes to playing us. They've always just loved trying to ruin whatever we're doing. So it's always nice to see them struggle.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you're in the area, go out to Carter Finley Stadium. The Tar Heels are going to need as much crowd noise and help as they can, because that place is going to be red, man. Yeah, if they don't sell out a single game this season, it's going to be this game.
Yeah, it will, and I know it would be. And there's been talk about how they haven't had much attendance this year and all that, and that won't matter for this one. They'll show up for this one, as long as it's not like horrible conditions or something where people don't want to come. But yeah, I anticipate a sellout. I anticipate a great football game. I'm looking forward to it. But I do think we have the better team here, Ben. I think we have the better offense by all means. I don't think they have the secondary right now, health-wise, to cover all of our receivers. Specifically, Diami and Daz. Daz was out for Mercer because of a team violation, but he'll be back and ready to go. So I think offense, we can put up a lot of points here. Defensively, they're just. I think it was interesting. We were watching the Georgia Tech game the other night. This NC State defense got their first turnover in ACC play this past Thursday against Georgia Tech. Oh. Their first turnover in ACC play. So this is not a defense that's going to take the ball away very, very, very often, which means that they don't do a great job rushing the passer, and they're kind of just playing a lot of stuff in front of them, letting stuff come to them, and just hoping to not give up the big play. So we may have to sustain some long drives here, but I think we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got smash mouth running backs, good offensive line, and then we can toast them over the top if we have to.
Yeah, and they, sorry to interrupt you there, but they've been running a lot of, like 3-3-5 look defenses, some 4-2-5 mixed in there and stuff, just trying to really get a lot of speed on the field to try to not just not give up too many big plays.
Yeah.
I think their philosophy this year is just let's try to keep everything in front of us. We know we're not going to get great pressure. We know we're not going to be able to, get people in 3rd and 25. Let's just try to keep everything in front of us and make teams kick field goals and work it out on offense.
Yeah, so we'll see how our offense goes and approaches this game.
Yeah.
I think, we shouldn't have too big of an issue. I think we're going to stick to our guns. Sam's throwing the ball so well. Our receivers are playing super well this latter half of the season. But now that we're kind of running out of time here, what are your keys to the game? What are we gonna have to do to become bowl eligible,
Well,
Zach?
because they are young in a lot of places, I say we attack them, much like teams have attacked us in our young places. Mm-hmm. Okay, Sam hasn't been a good example of that because he's been great, but teams have attacked our corners. I say we attack their corners, make these guys that are younger, that have been injured, play our guys like Diami and Daz. Let's do that. Let's give them some of their own medicine. And then when you're talking about our defense against their offense, they have a young quarterback. Their running backs are not experienced. Their offensive line really isn't that good either. So I say we send some different looks at them. We really try to get after this quarterback, make him get rattled, try to force him into some mistakes, and give us some short field.
Yeah, I think we just got to, get a good game plan and stick to it, man. We've had a tendency to play down to our opponents this year, and we can't afford to do that. We got to go, and we kind of just got to kick their butts, man.
Yeah, and I think we really can run the ball on this team, guys. I think
agree.
we can run the ball on this team. We're going to be able to pass against them, but I think that I think we really can pound this NC State team. I don't think they have the personnel up front to get with us if we get Javonte going, and as well as Antonio, as he's played well recently as well, and Michael, of course. But our 3 running backs are better than their 3 running backs.
No,
I say we pound it, we work that, then get Sam going with some play action and stuff. I think we're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. But give me a score prediction, Zach. Are we going bowling this year?
I think we are, guys. I really think we do. I think we win this game 33-23. It'll be tight in the first half. They will score some points. They'll give us some trouble, but I think we separate ourselves in the second a little bit with that running game and our ability to get some pressure on the quarterback. I think those 2 things will propel us to victory.
Yeah. I think that we are going to finally kind of capture that potential that we've been flashing all season. I think they're going to come out angry. They're going to want this bowl game for Mac. I think we're going to win 52-21. I think we're going to go out and just smack him in Carter Finley.
That would be awesome. That would be great. I hope you're right, Ben.
But again, we're probably going to be within 1 score come the fourth quarter. Who knows?
But a win's a win. Anymore. A win's a win. Let's just get it however we have to get it.
And I'm going to miss the heart attacks that come with these Carolina games this season. It's been ridiculous.
Speak for yourself, man.
But that just about wraps it up. I can't wait to watch this game. This Saturday, guys, at 7 p.m. It's going to be on the ACC network. I'll have to watch that in California, 4 p.m., man. But it's gonna be a good time. Zach, you got any last little bits before we go?
No, that's good. I always enjoy talking to you guys. I hope all of our listeners have a great Thanksgiving with your family and friends and whatever. Appreciate you guys listening to us as always, and go Tar Heels.
Absolutely. Happy Turkey Day, and enjoy watching some football and basketball. But as always, it's been Ben and Zach at the Heel Deal Podcast.
And as always, go to Hell Duke.